In today's recording, I'll be talking about working with dyslexic EFL students in a mixed ability class. If you are a teacher and you have worked at a state school, I'm sure you have asked yourself, how do I do it? It's not easy, and I'm not going to lie, it's not something that can be done within a day. So first of all, let's imagine you work at a state school. So you teach English as a foreign language, or second, but most likely foreign. So first of all, before I'd even venture into like deciding what to do in my classroom, I'd talk to the L1 teacher. The L1 teacher can provide you with wealth of information. So if you work at a, let's say, Polish state school, most likely your students will not have what we call an EPED because if they are only dyslexic, then they're not, unless there are other challenges. But let's focus just on dyslexia, even if they don't have the so-called IPET, which is EPED, and they won't if they are dyslexic. As I said a second ago, they will have paperwork from the specialist. So most likely they went to like the psychological walking clinic, whatnot, and they should have some results. So you can ask the teacher, you can talk to the head teacher, you can talk to the parents if they can just shed some light on the students' struggles, whether they are struggling with retrieval, whether it's orthography, right? Whether it's grammar. If you talk to L1 teacher, the L1 teacher will shed so much more light because they also teach the language. And as you know, if your student is struggling with L1, they will be struggling with L2. If they can't grasp the concept of grammar in L1, it will overlap to L2. If they struggle with orthography in L1, guess what? That shows up in L2. Same with writing, etc., etc., etc. So first of all, gather your information. That's the most important part. Second of all, let's say you've just gathered your data and you're just trying to figure out, right, what to do and what's next. I have to break it to you, and I hate to break it to you, but you have to work with the parents. Why? Your class will last more or less 45 minutes. If you work at a primary school, you have to prepare your students for grade 8 exam. If you work at a high school, you have to prepare your students for final exams. So you will not have a lot of time. That being said, your student has to do some work at home. So that's why parent-teacher communication is so important. But what can you incorporate in your classroom so that your students benefit, the other students benefit? Because let's be honest, like, language does not end in grade 4, grade 5, or grade 6. First of all, incorporate phonics in your instruction. And I know someone will say, oh, come on, that's for children, babies, right? Jolly phonics and all the jazz when the kids sing and they sound out words. But please remember that if you go back and think even about your neurotypical students, how many students know their spelling or pronunciation patterns? Think about it. I'm sure not that many. So again, incorporate it in your classroom. Second of all, if your student hates typing or they type too slow, use Post-its. So what I did, I asked my students, and I do apologize, I don't have the notebook, but, oh yeah, I do. No, this is too small. But let's say this is my Italian book, but let's say you need a notebook that is this, let's say this size, so that you can put Post-its instead of noting, because your students will struggle with note taking, and Post-its are such a great way of cutting yourself some slack and your students not being lost in the process, like, oh my God, what did you do? Oh, was it this vocabulary or that? Oh my goodness, I don't remember. So use Post-its. Use a very clear plan. So what I did when I worked in multi-level classrooms is that I had a very specific plan that I also presented at the beginning of the classroom. Everyone knew what we will do, literally minute by minute, or like, let's say 5-10 minutes. In 5-10 minutes increments, they knew what's happening next. That alleviates stress, it eases them into the lesson, and then it's just easier. Everyone loves predictability. I know some people say they are chaotic, they thrive on chaos, but like, when it comes to teaching, we love predictability. We love to know what's going to happen next. And then the third thing that all the students will benefit from is explicit spelling instruction. I love incorporating structured word inquiry. If you speak your students L1, and most likely you will if you work at a state school, you can just draw comparisons between two languages. How about that? It really helps. Then the fourth thing would be multisensory instruction, which works great with younger students. Older students are not very keen on that. And most importantly, direct instruction. So direct instruction has to be sequential, explicit, and cumulative. That's it. It has to be. And yeah, I know that at some parts it will be hard for you to accommodate your students because you will have students who are ahead of a class. They always are. You will have students who are like in the sweet middle spot, and you will have those who are struggling. But incorporate structured word inquiry. Then what I would do, I also incorporate what I call a retrieval basket and a low-stake quizzes. And now, it's not homework, and it's not grade related, so we don't get grades. Retrieval basket is a basket that I used to have in my class. It was like this. We would throw vocabulary or some phrases, anything we work on, and then we'll just pick couple of them, and we just discuss them in class. So that we would retrieve the information. Low-stake quizzes we'd have every Friday for 5-10 minutes. There was no grade assigned to low-stake quiz. Zero, no grade. And when I would just provide immediate feedback, and I wouldn't tell my students, oh, you did this good and this was bad. No, I wouldn't refer to names at all. I would collect the themes, let's say, discuss what was the problem, what not. Then you can try station work, which is great. And I would also incorporate time so that you have like 5 or 10 minutes with your students who are really struggling. So that, let's say, you can have a class working on something that they're really good at, right? And then have that like 5-10 minutes for your student. And then my personal favorite, multisensory grammar. I love grammar and I love teaching grammar. I think grammar is amazing. But with grammar, you have to provide direct instruction. It has to be explicit and it has to be hands-on. So long time ago, when I was teaching adults, actually, and I had no clue how to introduce the concept of tenses or even speech parts, I used parts. I had like plans on a windowsill, and I use parts and post-it notes. But you can use anything and everything. You can use color coding, you can use shapes, and you can take it so much further than just speech parts or parts of speech or parts of sentence. I've written an ebook in which I go up to reported speech. So I'll just link the waitlist in the episode so you can sign up and get the chapter 1 for free. So this would be it. I know you expected me that I'm gonna just sit you down and tell you this or that. As I said, it's more complex than that, but you have to start. You have to start, and to start helping your students, you have to learn how to identify your students. You have to learn how to see the difficulties. You have to learn how to teach, let's say before you teach even writing, right? How to interpret the mistakes in writing so that you can move on to writing. I didn't talk about writing because I actually will record a separate episode on writing because it's so much complex than that. But if you're interested, the doors to my signature course, which is now called Dyslexia Toolkit, because I have distilled 6 modules, and it will take you no more than 20 minutes a day to walk through it. So if you're an EFL teacher and if you are struggling, you don't know what to do or where to start, this is your time. This is your time. You can just sign up. And if you want to see how it feels like when you're working with me, I'm also inviting you to my free webinar, which will be happening on February 10th. And it's how to create an inclusive EFL classroom in 5 easy steps without compromising your teaching standards, because I'm all for evidence-based instruction. So I hope to see you there, and have a wonderful day.